Hello, dear students. I'm Dr. Yogendra Singh Thakur from SIRTE MBA Department, Bhopal. Today, I'm presenting video lectures on Consumer Price Index. Generally, we see CPI, means Consumer Price Index. The main definition of the Consumer Price Index is an index that measures the monthly changes in the price paid by US consumers. The Consumer Price Index, or the CPI, is known as the index that is used to measure the level of the retail inflations in an economy by taking into an account the change in the price of the most commonly used goods and services by the consumers. CPI is denoted by a basket of goods and services, and the changes in this basket is studies over a time period. It is commonly used by the policymakers and the economists as a measure of inflation, along with the GDP defaulters. There are four steps: the calculation of the CPI and the level of the inflation in an economy, which are as follows. First one is fixing a basket of goods and services as a reference. Second number, calculating the cost of the selected basket. Third number is calculating the CPI. Fourth number is calculating the inflation rate. The Federal Reserve, the Fed uses the CPI data to determine the economic policy. With a target inflation rate of 2%, the Fed may enact the expansionary monetary policy to stimulate the economy. Should a market growth slow, or enact the contractionary monetary policy should the economy grow too quickly. In response to higher than the desired inflation rates via the CPI, the Fed adjusts the Fed fund rate. Next one, COLAS, the cost of living adjustments, COLAS, based on the CPI, affect federal payment to the many millions of the American receiving Social Security and the supplemental security incomes, SSI benefits. They also supply the federal pension payments, school lunch subsidies, and the income tax brackets. Housing, mortgage rate and the loan with the debt are often impacted by the rates set by the government agencies. As the CPI increase and the government enact the policy changes to slow the inflation, rates often increase, and landlords may use CPI informations to adequately assess what annual rent increase for the return should be. Financial market prices can react to the CPI as the reactionary Fed policies directly impact economic growth, corporate profits, and consumer spending ability. A higher CPI often means that a less strengthened government policy is generally in place. Debt is easier to obtain, and individuals have greater spending capacity. Lower or the decreasing CPI may indicate that the government may ease policies that help boost the economy. Labor, the CPI and its components support a change in the HURI or the weekly earnings, and the EPNI may turn to CPI reports when approaching their employees for a rise based on the notice-wise increase in labor rates as well as pricing. Some workers converted by collective bargaining agreements may have their contracts and wages tied to change in CPI. How is the consumer price index used? This is most important and common questions about the CPI. The CPI index is an inflation indicator closely watched by the policymakers, closely watched by the financial markets. A related CPI measures is used to calculate cost of living adjustments for the federal benefit payments. Thank you so much from my side. Sejanandam.